Hey there, it's April from Learn, Do, Become, and today we're talking about how to create routines that will actually stick. Now, it might seem obvious that you just start doing something and you do it day after day and you hope that you keep doing it, but actually the way that you set up your routines and then the way you approach them each day, week, month, etc. is going to make a huge difference, and today I want to show you how easy it can be. I'm going to write down some examples of routines that I regularly do, and I encourage you to do the same. All right, so these are just a handful of routines that didn't used to be routines. I didn't have a routine for any of them. But now these are things that we do, like laundry and groceries. This is weekly house cleaning, monthly. All of these we do monthly, and calendaring is weekly. Routines are things that you're doing daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly. And so having some kind of a cadence makes a lot of sense, right? But if you just say, okay, I'm going to do all these things every week or every month, now you're trying to remember when to do them. Maybe you're setting calendar triggers. Maybe you're just hoping they're going to work, or you're adding them to all kinds of checklists and you're rewriting it over and over again. Most people, if you don't have a solid routines list, it just starts to feel like so much. And then you add on everything like brush my teeth and wash my car and do all the other things with email and messaging. And then you start to feel like your routines never end and you start ending up in routine jail, which we don't want to do. So I'm going to show you how we're going to make it just feel really, really simple. All right, so 2 keys are going to make this really work. Number 1 is making the establishment of a routine into a project. And then the second thing is creating the routine reminders in such a way that it just feels effortless to get them done. So when we talk about establishing a routine, a project, essentially that means on your current projects list for the month, where you have between 1 and 8 projects that you're focusing on, one of those projects is going to be establish a routine for laundry or house cleaning or, my YouTube channel, something like that. I'm going to take the financial review routine and break that down into a project to just show you how it can be broken down into steps. Now, full disclosure, Eric manages most of the finances. He was an accounting major in college. It's his thing. I was a communications major. Doing these videos is more my thing. However, I'm trying to be more involved in the finances. I'm good at staying on a budget, but I'm not always good at looking at the big picture. So what I'm going to write down right now is my personal project to make this more regular for me. Okay, so you can see I just took this financial monthly review and I wrote down all the things that I could think of that would just make this feel effortless. You'll probably notice, it probably seems a little embarrassing, but make a list of all the accounts to check. Well, I don't exactly know, because I know sometimes we have different checking accounts and lending accounts, and then we have one for the business and one for home, and then we have an investment account, and there's different just things we put together for retirement. And Eric knows all this really well, and I just don't. This isn't my thing. And so the reason I'm sharing this is because as you're establishing a routine, there may be some that just feel like, it's just not my strength, it's not my thing, it's too hard. That's how I feel about financial reviews. But I'm thinking, okay, well, I could make a list of this by having just a to discuss. Okay, I need to discuss it with Eric. Just say, hey, can we just make a list together and just tell me where do I need to go? And then getting the login details, I have them, but I have them kind of scattered. So this would be a home thing for me to find, where did I put them? How did I, write them in code, or what did I do? And then choosing a safe place to store the details. That might be a computer, because I might search online, like, hey, what are the best ways to safely store passwords for sensitive material? So I could just do some research on the computer. Picking a regular day to review. This is probably another to discuss, because Eric and I would most likely do the review together, or we might decide, hey, we'll do it together for 20 minutes, but before we join, we'll each do our own review, looking at our personal purchases and see if anything stands out to us individually. Then we can come together with more information, that type of thing. And then creating a list of outcomes or goals, like what are we working towards? Do we want to be able to invest this certain amount, or are we looking to put this much into a savings account, or what are we looking to do with donations, things like that. So as we create this list, that would be another to discuss item. Once I can go through and decide this is actually probably the order I would go in, but as I get each one of these done, now I've completed the project. So that's going to set me up, because once something is completed project-wise, now it can move into routine mode. All of our routines need to be decided upon, organized. If this were laundry that I was, outlining here, it would be things like, which baskets are we using? Where are we putting the laundry hampers? What day are we washing? Do we have all the materials that we need? Who folds? Who puts things away? Like, how do we do that? But when you can just break down all of these routines that you want to have in place, and you figure out how to make them projects first, you're going to just feel like, okay, now I can put my routines on autopilot, and it doesn't need to feel hard. 4 more reminders before we close up for today. Number 1, you want to create one master list of all of your routines. This could be paper or digital, where you have things organized by daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. You also may want to have them distinguished by personal routines, family routines, and professional routines. I personally do mine inside of Asana. It's a great software that helps me just have them all there. And then you're going to want to just review it weekly. Now, hopefully you're having some kind of a weekly review, but just looking over those routines, seeing that there may be a lot and some are more important than others, but it gives you a general sense of everything that you want to be doing on a regular basis. Number 2, you want to put any time-specific routines just right on your calendar. And so this is something like, I have a yoga class every Friday at this time. I have a team meeting every third Thursday, or I have church at this time on Sundays. So any routines that, require your body to be in a certain place or require you to do something at a specific time, those do need to be on your calendar just so that you don't overbook or double book. Number 3, if you're struggling to do a routine, you can temporarily add that to your calendar or to your task list. So let's say I want to start sending a newsletter out every Tuesday. And I find it's just not a habit. I keep forgetting. I don't really think about it. It's on my routines list, but I don't do it. Well, then I might want to go to my Tuesday task list and actually add it as a task. What's been amazing is that as we've created projects that are establishing routines, and as I start running on autopilot, I don't have to then write down every routine on my calendar or on my task list. So things like exercise, regular things in the business like our newsletter or like the podcast or some of the things that we just do regularly as a family, they're not sitting there on the calendar and they're not on our task list, and that gives your list a way to feel lighter, because you're not putting all 1,000 things that you want to do. I don't write down brush teeth, every day, even though I know there's kind of that dopamine that you get when you check something off. If you can keep all your routines separate from your calendar and task list, it's going to feel so much better. But you can temporarily add it until it's on autopilot and you say, okay, I don't need this on my list anymore. I know I'll at least see it once a week when I look at my routines master list, and that'll be enough. And then last one is just only establish one new routine at a time. Often we feel like me, I wrote out everything I wanted to do, from taking our children to the library, to ironing, to reading books, to all these things that I just thought were going to be awesome to do. And then I made this perfect routines list, and I tried to step into that whole list and do everything all at the same time. That was just overload on my brain, and I couldn't do it all. But what I found is if I just take one at a time, make it a project to establish the routine, and now it's on autopilot, and then I take the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, then over time, I have a lot of routines that are just on autopilot and don't feel overwhelming, but they keep our family moving, they keep our business moving, they help me to feel healthy and happy and have that connection that I want with my higher power and the people in my life, and being able to do things like this, being here to record and hopefully strengthen you. So I encourage you, write out those routines, figure out maybe if there's one that could be a project this month, figure out what those next steps are, and then move forward getting that done and putting it on autopilot. You're gonna feel like routines all of a sudden are a strong foundation, they strengthen you, they give you that support that you need, And then you can move on with other projects and activities that are going to get you where you want to be so you can architect your life of excellence. Okay, so glad you're here with us. Thanks for being part of the Learn, Do, Become community, and we'll see you soon.